5000. I'm Dr. Hyde, and you're going to have to excuse me today as I may be a little high on a rather old invention that I believe back home they call barbecue sauce. Today, on the 31st of February 2810, news has emerged that planets' mass and history are morphing together. But the question remains, will this crazy relationship continue to exist? In the Sphinx Prime News, Wacky Professor Quadratic has publicly announced his views on this concerning matter. And I quote, "The relationship between mass and history is nothing short of a true love story." The physical attraction between these planets has been undeniable for thousands of years now. We cross to Wacky Professor in New Orleans.
Hello there everyone! A relationship between these two unlikely planets is quite interesting. Whilst this might seem like the most unlikely of alliances, it has to be love. These two planets will survive. Let me begin by explaining why I know this will work. When gaining knowledge in planet history, we look at primary and secondary sources. When looking at a historical event, naturally opinions and perspectives come into play, therefore altering the original facts. For example, if I was to tell you about the Holocaust and Hitler's extermination camps, my perspective of Hitler would become evident whilst telling the story, as I would be selecting the facts that portray Hitler as a bad man, failing to mention the good things Hitler did for Germany. When we're talking about language, it is the way we alter the language that will effectively change your perspective about Hitler. It is the changing of words from the original source that influences a historian's understanding to then my understanding, and then your understanding, and so on and so forth. When talking about the language of planet maths, it is similar to that of planet history because they use the same alphabet, obviously. But this isn't the only similarities. In order to understand the language of maths, we take it and twist it around and changing its language so that we can better understand it, as proven by Gary Taylor. This is similar to history as our language alters it. Another way that my beliefs can be proven is through certainty and uncertainty. Planet maths and planet history are different in the ways they're certain and uncertain, and the ways the certainty changes. The certainty in history changes as time goes on because the accuracy changes over time, similar to the children's game of Chinese whispers. You know, facts get passed from person to person, and over time the story changes. But in maths, the changes depend on what maths you're doing. For example, we know that 1 + 1 = 2, and that's certain and won't change. The level of uncertainty in maths can be seen to establish an answer, but in some cases, this may result in more than one answer. This is evident in the null factor law. An example of this is behind me right here. Along with this, there is uncertainty with probability, statistics, and measurements, and that's why all of these planets will coexist. Back to you, Dr. Hines.
Thank you for that intriguing blast into exactly how these planets will coexist, Professor Quadratic. Now we cross live to Professor Poster-Lavoie, broadcasting from Santa's Disco, for her opinion on this very important matter. Hey there everyone, you all grooving today? Planet maths and history, you say? Well, listen to me. If these two planets ever morphed together, it would be a solar systematic disaster. I tell you that Wacky Professor Quadratic has been eating one too many beans in New Orleans. It'll never work. Mass is a priori justification and history is a posteriori justification. Planet history is dependent on the event or experience. An actual event has to happen in order for it to become a part of planet history. In history, we rely on an experience in order to justify our beliefs. An experience and its content is later learned after an event. Planet mass, however, is a priori justification and it doesn't rely on an experience. Planet mass is based on many fundamental laws. These laws are better known as axioms. Axioms are obtained by using reasoning to gain knowledge, and these axioms are accepted by all mathematicians, and a priori knowledge is an example of this. As stated by Galen Swanson, aka Mr. Piggy, when talking about priori knowledge, he quoted, "That means that you can see that it is true just by laying on your couch. You don't have to get up off the couch and go outside to examine the way things are in the physical world. So we can be lazy and know that mass just is. So as I've pointed out, planets mass and history will never coexist. They are two opposites. Back to you, Dr. Hines. Oh, and you may want to slow down on the barbecue sauce." Oh, how you make me laugh, Professor Poster-Lavoie. Now, Mexico Eskimo, what do you conclude is going to happen to these planets? Are they going to survive?
It seems that they could survive, but they both have some difficulties that they're going to have to work through in order to coexist. But if they don't do this, it's going to be a disaster. I suppose that means we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. That's all for the 16 o'clock news today, coming at you from Channel 5000 on this fine day in February 2810. I'm Dr. Hines and I'm off for some more barbecue sauce.